You get out what you put in, and those are seven words that I try to live my life by. Whether that's in school, in sports, in work, or just in your everyday life, building relationships with people. If you put out a lot of effort, you'll probably get back a lot of effort. So I just try to kind of base my life around that and realize that everything kind of does happen for a reason. But you can also do things to affect what happens. So at the start of this summer, life kind of sucked. I was like really unhappy. Like, oh, I'm all excited for summer, and then summer gets here, and I'm like, oh, it sucks big time. I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, which was pretty bad. I was back in the kitchen. I didn't like cooking. I didn't care about cooking. I literally just wanted a job where it's like, it was in the evening. So then after, like, I got off my shift at like 11 or 12 o'clock, I could go do whatever, like, all night and then sleep all day. And that was like the only reason why I really liked that job. And it was pretty easy money, but like, it just sucked. I mean, I smelled like straight fryer grease, and I'd have to drive home at like late o'clock at night every single night. And I'm like, I hate stinking. That's like one of my biggest fears is like, I hate smelling bad. So in that whole 30-minute drive home, I'm just like, I was just so mad. So I figured out like something needs to change. Like, I'm really unhappy right now. The money I'm making isn't great. I have big dreams, and they take big money. Right now I'm making little money, so I'm like, how am I going to achieve those big things with no means to do it? So that's when I decided midway through the summer that I needed to make a change. I mean, I was on Indeed, I can't even count how many hours a day, just trying to find a job that was like, all right, this is something I can do, this is something that'll accept me, and of course trying to find one that you don't have to be 18 for. And that was one of the biggest issues I ran into, because everyone's like, oh, if you're not 18, you're a liability. And that's every job I wanted to get into, whether it was First District or Bobcat or anything like that. It was all like, no, you can't, you're 17. But then I found Safe Basements, and I kind of heard from one of my friends that works there as well, that it kind of sucked. And the work wasn't easy at all. But I was like, how much more can it suck than the place I'm in right now? And something needs to change, so I gave it a try. That weekend, I texted one of the managers, whose name is Ricky, and I said, hey, like, I'm interested in a job. I've heard about it from so-and-so, and I believe that I'd be a great fit for the company. He replied back and said, you have an interview? And just like anybody on their first job interview, I was nervous. I walked in that morning, I'm like, walking in front of the mirror, I'm like, okay, what do I wear? What do I say? What do I do when I get in the office? But it all went really smoothly. I was really happy with how it went, and as soon as I walked in there, everybody was nice. When I walked in, I was like actually greeted by someone instead of you just walk to the back of the kitchen. And I talked to Ricky, and you actually get to like shake someone's hand and have an in-person conversation, which is something you didn't get much of. So I was just like, I was really grateful for that, and grateful that was a spot I could walk into and be comfortable in, because that's not always the case for a lot of people, and me in general too. As like I walked in, I'm like, my first impression on the place is kind of how I feel about it. So I felt really good about it right off the bat, and I pretty much shook his hand, and he looked at me and said, I have the job. I'm like, sweet. Now I get to start trying to change my life. But it took a lot of effort too, just because once you're in a position, you kind of have your cruise control set, and that's where I was at with B-Dubs. Is like, I didn't love it, but it was doable. So I had my cruise control set, and I was just kind of coasting. And it's kind of tough to hit your brakes when you're on the cruise control. You just want to keep going. You don't want to worry about anything. You don't want to change what you're doing because you're comfortable. You don't really have to have your hands on the wheel. You're kind of just going. So my first day came up, and I was nervous about it. I'm like sitting there like, what do I bring? How many waters do I bring? How much food do I bring? Am I going to be hungry? Am I going to not be hungry? I knew nothing. And I jumped into it after the first day. It was a 12-hour shift that first day, and me, I'm pretty stringy and skinny, as you can all see. And we have to carry these big old buckets that are like about 100 pounds a piece up the stairs full of like either wet concrete or big chunks of clay and giant old rocks up the stairs, these tiny little basement stairs. Pretty much walking on my tiptoes because my foot doesn't fit on the step. And then, it was just, it was really tough. It was pouring rain on us the whole time. I was miserable. There's a lot of times when I'd be midway up those stairs and I'm like, what am I doing with myself? Why did I take my foot off the gas? Why did I decide to do this? But I was able to persevere through that day, and it truly made me realize, like, you do get out what you put in. Because then my first paycheck for that 1 week, I started making $1,000 a week, and I'm like, that's pretty nice compared to making not even $1,000 every two. So I figured out that the harder I start to work, the more I'm gonna get out of it, whether that's life skills, money, or relationships with people that are important in my life. And now I can confidently say that that is a point when I was at my very best, and I gained a lot of skills that I'll keep for the rest of my life, and hopefully a lot of relationships that I can keep as well. So I truly believe that that's one of the times in my life that I was at my very best. My name is Nick Nelson, and thank you for listening to my speech.